Alright, welcome to this live coding session where I'm going to take a little bit of a look at how to generate fractal images in the Wolfram language. There's a couple of built-in functions. For example, the MandelbrotSet is a built-in function that lets you plot the Mandelbrot set just directly. So let's take a look at maybe just a few plots that you can do using that built-in function, and then after that take a look at just what it's computing. Alright, so let's take a look here at the MandelbrotSetPlot function by itself with no argument. So that kind of computes the Mandelbrot set. Looks like from where I think the x-axis here is the real number, so it goes from -2 up to a half on the real axis, and then on the imaginary axis it goes from about -1.5 to +1.5. Okay, so that's a good overview image, and then of course we want to see what we get if we zoom in a little bit. So let's take a look at the next example here. So we do MandelbrotSetPlot, and then we give it an argument, which is a list of 2 complex numbers. So let's just maybe start easy and kind of just pick some numbers ourselves. So how about we look from -1 -1/2, right? So that's the real part is -1.0. And then we go to -0.5i right there. So that's roughly the point that's over here where my mouse is right there. And then maybe let's go up to -0.5, and then maybe up to 0, so 0.0i. Okay, let's take a look right there. Okay, so that's sort of the the part of the plot right there that you see, starting this point right here, and then it kind of goes up to here. Okay, so that's in the same color scheme. So you can change the color scheme with this option. So let's take a look at follow that along. So we use this color function, and then there's different color schemes that you can use. So how about we start with the rainbow scheme and see what that looks like. Okay, so that's our rainbow colors. Doesn't really look like a rainbow, but probably if you zoom in a little bit more on a specific detail, you get these these colors from the rainbow. Let's take a look at some other rainbow colors here. So let me just select this color function and then hit F1, and that will take me to the function page for that option. So let's take a look what we can do here. Let's see. So we're looking for named color functions. Okay, so that's associated with color function goes to name is equivalent to color function goes to color data of a name. So let's just take a look at color data, and then that's the scheme. So that's probably where we get the different things there. And then color data of named should give me a list of these named schemes. So let's take a look here, named like that. And then we want to have let's see here, which one do we want? Which one do we want to pick here? Well, let's start with picking the first one. So let's take a look here with atoms. Is this how you do it? No, oops, that's not how you do it. Okay, there we go, atoms. So we should be able to use that particular color scheme in here as well. Oh, it has to be a gradient one. Okay, let's take a look at color data. Let's see, color data. and then we have to select the gradients. So gradients like that. Alright, there we go. So these are the ones you can use in MandelbrotSetPlot. So let's take a look at that. So how about we say we take that list and we just map over those choices right there. So we set that, make that a pure function, and then we're going to map over all these things, and let's see what we get there. So let's make that a little bit bigger, this window, and then see if there's one we particularly like. It's going to take a few seconds because it has to calculate the same Mandelbrot set a number of times. Let's see, maybe that's going to take a little bit too long here. Okay, there we go. Took a second, but these are all the different color schemes that you can get. There are, let's see if I call length on this function. Okay, so there's 51 different gradient color schemes. So here's all of them. And of course I forgot to include their name. So let me clean this up just a little bit. So I'm going to use this mapping function right here. So map basically, is a function that applies, whatever this function is to the elements of this list. And so in this case, the elements of the list is this thing right here, right? This returns a list of things. So I'm going to do, map off, some function on that thing. And that function f here is this MandelbrotSetPlot, like that. But I kind of want to have, the name of the coloring scheme right there. So how about I just make it a plot label here. Plot label goes to the name of that. And then I'm also not a big fan of these axes. So let me just make the axes go to false. I think you can just turn that off. Let me see if I can turn it off here. If that's a valid thing to do. So if I just say axes goes to false. Oh, no, that doesn't work. Take a look at the options of MandelbrotSetPlot. Maybe the frame goes to false. Frame. Okay, there we go. That's what I want. So I don't really want to have a frame with all sorts of numbers on it. I just want to have the pure image as it is. And I also don't really want to have the white space either. So let's see. I think you can do plot range padding goes to 0 here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so plot range padding goes to 0 just to kind of get a really nice and tight plot here. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let me just assign that to just a result here as well, so I kind of have the output, so I don't have to recompute this every time. Once I assign this to a variable, then all that computation doesn't have to happen over and over again. Okay, so let's compute it again. So it's going to take a few seconds. Delete this output here while that's running. Do a little bit of cleanup. Alright, there we go. So we got the output here now, and I set the plot label here. So this is Alpine colors, this is Aquamarine, Army colors, Atlantic colors, Aurora colors, Avocado colors. So I really like the avocado colors. Let's see, beach colors, blue, green, yellow. I kind of like the avocado colors, so I'm going to stick with that one. Let's see if there's anything else that's kind of interesting here. The solar colors are pretty nice as well, I think. Okay, well, how about we stick with avocado colors? That's a pretty neat sort of green gradation thing. Okay, so let's do one of these. So MandelbrotSetPlot, and then color scheme What was the option? Color scheme, I think it was. Oh, color function. Okay, color function goes to avocado colors, like that. Alright, there we go. So that's a pretty nice one. And actually, I don't want to have to repeat this over and over again, so I'm going to do set options for this session right here. Let me save this notebook. MandelbrotSetPlot-01. Alright, it's safe to know. It was a pretty big notebook because I had this big output here, so I'm going to just delete that output here. Okay, so set options on MandelbrotSetPlot, and I'm going to set these. Right, I like this option right here. Make sure I use this correctly. Yeah, so I just give that this option, and I want to say frame false is one of the things I want. And I want to have plot range padding goes to 0. There we go. I don't really care about looking at the output, so I'll put a semicolon after that. Alright, and now if I evaluate MandelbrotSetPlot, I just get, you know, a nice clean image right there without any axes around it or anything else, and using that avocado colors scheme. Okay, so how about we pick a particular point to maybe zoom in on. So I guess one good point would be this point right here. Let's see roughly what point is that. So that's about well, why don't we look that up? Let's see. So I'm just going to look for these special points. I kind of want to zoom in on an area that's kind of interesting. So, so I'll just Google for that. And let's see. Okay, there we go. So there's some interesting points right there. The triple spiral valley. Okay, why don't we just randomly pick this one, right? So this is a number 3 right there, so that's kind of this thing that kind of sits right about there. So let's try that one. Right, so that's sort of my X, or yeah, let's call that the real RE, and IM is that. Alright, that's going to be the center of this thing, and then I'm going to have to put a little window around it. So this is right, so I need to specify a little window right here. So I'm going to do, you know, RE. You know, I need to do the lower left, I believe, and then the top right. Let me check the document. Z min and Z max. Yeah. Let's do it differently. Let's do center equals this one plus that one times I. Okay, so that's going to be the center. And I'm going to do center minus a little bit. Let's say minus 0.1 minus 0.1 I. And I'm going to do the same thing but add a little bit. So center plus that one. So this thing right here is just a right, the real part and the imaginary part of the little window I'm trying to create. So let's see what this does. Okay, there we go. So that should be this little thing right here, this thing at the top right there. So that looks to be correct. Okay, Okay, but we can clean this up a little bit. So let's see. Right, let's do the scaling function. Let's make that 0.1, and then we'll just use you know, this 1 plus I like that, and we can simplify this as 1 plus I as well. I think that's the same. Yeah, that's the same thing. And now we can make the scale smaller and smaller. So let's go like to 1/100th. Okay, so we're kind of zooming in 1/1000. Here we go. And let's see, what was supposed to be special here? This was supposed to be the triple spiral valley, which I think is what we're seeing right here. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit more. Oh, that was too far. And we may have to do a little bit more iteration, so let's take a look at now the iterations option. Okay, we've worked with the color function. The escape radius 2 is usually good. Frame, true, we've kind of already dealt with that as well. We turned that off. Image resolution, max iterations, that's the thing we want to try to deal with now. So we probably have to increase that to get a better quality result here. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So what are we using here? Max iterations. Let's see if we can increase that here. So max iterations goes to 200. Okay, 100. Right, okay, so the higher this number is, the more detail you're going to get at higher zoom levels. So let's see, this is decent, but not great yet, so let's make it 400. Okay, there we go, that's a little bit better. Let's make it a little bit better, 800. Maybe 1000. That's probably reasonable for this. I'm gonna zoomed in here. I'm zoomed in at 150% on the notebook zooming level, and then I made this bigger as well. So this is zooming out all the way to the pixel level. But if you kind of go back, this is sort of more the normal size. So this is looking reasonably well. I'm a little bit concerned that this is going to zoom into nothingness, so maybe I should go a little bit, just a tiny bit to the left here. So let me change it to, 87 there. Let's see if this scoots it up to the left a little bit. Oh, that was too much. And maybe a little bit up, so 5. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's a little bit more interesting. Okay, so let's zoom in just a little bit more, 10 times more. Maybe should not go quite as fast. So let me go. Make this 0. This is back 10, right? So I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna halve this to 0.5, like that. Just to zoom in a little bit slower. Okay. Let's see. And again, I want to be a little bit higher. So let's see if I go to 5.5 here. Okay, there we go. Now we're sort of right in the middle of something. Okay, now let's keep zooming in. So let's go to 2 10,000s right there. Alright, it's looking pretty good. And again, this window is a little bit zoomed in. And this is more like the normal level, so I can take this MandelbrotSetPlot and give it the image resolution, which I think is the number of pixels side by side. Take a look at the image resolution here. So let me increase that a little bit too. Let's say 500. That's probably gonna, alright, there we go. It has to be a little bit bigger than that, so let's say 1,000. So I'm doubling that, so that means it's going to be 4 times as slow as it was before. Okay, this is a pretty decent result. Okay. Okay, so let's see what else we can do here. MandelbrotSetPlot. I think that's shows roughly. Let's see. Okay, there's an interesting escape radius. Let's try this example right here. So what's escape radius? I'm gonna play. Let's see. How to determine that a point is not in the set, and they're making it bigger, right? The example is making it bigger. They're changing it from 2 to 10. So let's just try that. Just to kind of, let's just do this first here. Alright, let's see if we can sort of understand what this color function does. So it's a color function in this case, it's a pure function, so this is the entire pure function. We're going by the, using the slot 3 and 5, so let's see what the color function does here specifically. Alright, let's see if we can play around with color function here. So color function, I mean they're using quite a few you go quite in depth here. So let's see what this does. If we just take the first argument here, so let's say if the first one try that. Let's see, let me reset the, let me just quit this real quick and let's see if I just use this normal thing. Let's see. So the first slot right here, not sure what that is. Almost seems like X and Y here. Let's see then. Oops. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to figure it out. I'm not sure what the what all these various slots are here. So that's I mean, you can kind of copy the example, but that's not really what I wanted to do. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm going to stop right there.